Hello everyone, good afternoon and welcome to Live at the Waterhole. My name is Amy and I will be with you for the show today, and I'm so excited to be starting off here at Stony Point Nature Reserve in the Western Cape of South Africa, and it looks like we have a pair of nesting penguins that we were watching yesterday already, but it's lovely to be able to be live with you today and have a look at them. It is so cute, and what a beautiful view we have of this nest here. Now remember everyone that this is of course a live and interactive show, so please do say hello to me. Let me know who you are, where you're watching from, what you're hoping to see today, maybe what snacks you have with you, and you can send those through on the Wild Earth website or the app. You can also WhatsApp us now as well, and you can join the conversation on X using the hashtag WildEarth. And of course, you can also chat to us in the YouTube chat stream, so you can send those comments and questions through via that as well. So lots of options for you. Now the nesting time, breeding time for the African penguin, which is what we're looking at here, is pretty much that it can be all year, but it does tend to peak in different locations at different times of the year. And I believe this area is known to be about between March and May, that a lot of the nesting and the breeding does happen. And what will happen is that the male and female will take turns to incubate the eggs. There's usually 2 up to 3 eggs that can be laid. And they'll line the nest. We've seen them bringing back bits of vegetation, sticks, sometimes feathers, bones, all sorts of things that they'll bring back to their nesting hole. Mercedes, hello to you. Lovely to hear from you, and thank you for saying hi. It's good to have you on board today. These penguins almost look like statues. Every now and again I see a little tail move. And there's a little bit of head movement by the one lying down there as well now. If I was the penguin that didn't have to be incubating right now, I'd probably head off and find some food, because when it's my shift, then there's no leaving it. That egg has to be permanently kept nice and warm so that it can grow and develop, and they can successfully brood a chick, which is very important because these African penguins are endangered animals and need to breed to increase their number. Wild at Heart, hello. You are actually quite close by to where we are looking now in Hermanus, which is a little bit further along the coast from where Stony Point is in Betty's Bay, but a similar area. And you say that it's very chilly, cold and overcast. No wonder that these penguins are keeping this nest nice and toasty warm here. They need to. Oh, there is another pair. Oh, well, I think there are two there. Very cute indeed. All right, everyone. Lovely start here at Stony Point. Let's head up to Old Doniel. Well, a very beautiful scene up in East Africa, with these 3 elephant bulls having a drink, and some giraffes around. Oh, there's one peeking out now. We'll get a gap to have a drink as well. Whoa. Oh gosh. I think the elephant on the left it wasn't at the giraffes, it was more at this elephant with the big hole in his ear. And just give me some space. I feel like that was the message there. And then maybe a little bit more angrily than what I said there. Clearly that elephant getting the message that he needs to leave. Quite honestly, if someone was that rude to me, I also wouldn't stay. There's so many bugs flying around here at the moment. It's a mixture of different things. There are some butterflies. I think there are just some flies as well. Sarah, I know, it was extremely loud. Goodness me. I actually had to turn down my volume as well. Ellie, I will try and pass on your message to this elephant bull and tell him to stay calm and friendly. Although that wasn't very calm and friendly. Clearly not having an issue with the other elephant that's there. wonder if this is the same elephant. I didn't get a look at the other ear, but now it's like, well, maybe if I approach backwards, they won't see me. Oh no, it's a different elephant. But it did look like it was one sneaking in backwards, hoping the outcome would be different. Ah, that elephant has no tail. That elephant bull that's just arrived there now. I think he was here a little bit earlier before the show began. But it's interesting that he doesn't have a tail. I do know that sometimes genetics play a role in that. And I'm not sure exactly where. I can't remember the details now, but I remember reading something about in a certain area, genetically there are groups of elephants that can be lacking a certain feature. And for example, something like a tail, that it becomes more common within their DNA shared between certain elephants. That's like the tailbone or the bones throughout the whole tail, just don't develop the same way in other elephants, which is fascinating. Could also be an injury that that particular elephant lost its tail when it was very young, and the bones won't grow back. So if it's removed or bitten off or got an infection and it lost its tail, then that's the way it would be for the rest of its life. Jessica, hello. Thank you so much for your comment, because you've just pointed out something that I actually didn't see from a distance, and I think it's just a little bit unclear for me to see it, which I'm just noticing now, is that trunk of the elephant on the right is injured. We'll see if it's possible to zoom in at all. But that looks like a classic potential snaring injury, unfortunately. Elephants are very curious and often sticking their trunks into snares, or sometimes it doesn't even have to be a snare, but just a piece of wire that gets tight around there. But it looks like it's been removed and all sorted, and elephants are amazingly adaptable, especially when it comes to their trunks. But with that sort of hole on the one side, I'm not sure if it affects the actual nostrils that are, or the two sort of tubes that run up the nose, which helps them when they suck up water. That's what they're using, because sometimes when an elephant's, or the one has been severed open, you get this offshoot of water squirting out along the side. I don't particularly see any water actually squirting out, but maybe just at this distance I can't see that. And that injury happened a very long time ago for this elephant bull. A lot of the times it does happen to younger individuals that haven't learned where and where not to put their trunks. These giraffes are being very patient now. I wonder if they know, well, they must have heard how grumpy that other elephant was. So they've been very cautious. Essie, hi. You say he's known for being a pretty noisy drinker. Well, I can't say that I've noticed anything particularly loud at this moment in time, but I can believe you when you say maybe he does have a little bit of extra noise made. I don't know if that is from the injury itself or just because he likes to make a little bit more splashing around when he has a drink. Well, isn't this just beautiful? And now we can get a lovely close view of that injury. Oh, there's the giraffes taking its turn to have a drink. Lucy, you're asking what the population of elephants are at Eldonyo. So I've just had to check up now, so I stand to be corrected, but the area that Eldonyo is in is called Chayulu. I apologize if I'm not saying that correctly, but Chayulu Hills. And I believe there's about 15,000 elephants in the entire area, in part of which Eldonyo Lodge, so it's within that area, Chayulu Hills. I believe the total number for Kenya itself is around between 30 to 35,000. That was a few years ago already, the last time those numbers were recorded that I could find, so I'm sure it's potentially increased a little bit beyond that as well. Monet, you say you're sitting at work and missing the nature. Well, I'm so glad that we at least can share it with you through this way, and that you are enjoying the waterhole show. I must say, watching the tip of these elephant trunks without the faces in view, it almost looks like they're a creature of its own, like some sort of a giant worm, or something like that has its little face where it's the two tips or fingers of the trunk are. So you can see there that there's definitely a hole that's showing, but it is still connected. So I think its right nostril is still working fine, and it can suck up water through the right hand nostril and be able to use it. But I would imagine that if it is drinking or even wanting to throw mud on itself, that there would be some spray that comes out of the hole there on the left. This giraffe is now photobombing, also wanting to have some attention. It does seem like the elephants are pretty much just hanging around here now and not actively drinking, giving these giraffe a chance to come get some water. And this sort of gentle affection really makes me feel like they are such gentle giants. I mean, they can be not gentle, but moments like this, they just look so peaceful. And even look at those trunks again, twisted around one another. It does seem like the one on the right is wanting a little bit more of that physical touch than the one on the left. And it's so interesting that it's like it doesn't make more of a mess while this elephant's drinking. But maybe it's sort of, I don't know, maybe the mechanism or how he sucks in the water is just different. Maybe he only takes it in on the one side. And I also love to feel with their trunks. I've noticed here, Albino specifically, this feeling of whether it's sort of a man-made base to the waterhole, or if that's a natural occurring rock that sort of is jutting out, if they've mixed some rocks with a bit of cement to sort of make sure that that water holds there. Definitely that's the little inflow there, which I can understand in trying to get the fresh water there. Wild at heart, I know it does sort of look like that, but I don't think that's the case. I think they both after this inflow pipe. So we can see now very clearly that this is where the fresh water comes to keep his pan full. And it's probably why these two are, look, the injured trunk is now trying to, I think, push away the other one more than any sort of affection now that I'm looking at it. It's a little bit of rivalry over this inflow pipe and the water. Oh, it's actually quite cute. And like I was saying earlier, if we just look at the trunks, it's almost like they are a living organism on their own without an elephant attached to it. it's amazing sometimes when you just look a little bit closer. I mean, we're fortunate enough to have a camera that zooms in beautifully, but when I'm on game drive, I always try to encourage guests to make use of the binoculars if they are visiting a lodge. That sometimes lodges provide binoculars, or guests bring their own, but it is an amazing thing to have a pair of binoculars. Oh, this is the elephant with the tusk that goes the wrong way. Oh goodness, I remember seeing this Ellie before. These two at the back that are, I think it's sort of passive aggressiveness that's going on there at the moment. The one's trunk's actually in front of the tusk of the other one because they both want to get to that inflow pipe. That's interesting why that tusk is growing like that, but it's just what's happened. We as humans also experience teeth that sometimes grow in odd directions, and something may just be an abnormality. And unfortunately, one can't put a pair of braces on an elephant tusk. That would be quite the sight, though, I must say. But he seems to be fine and carrying on with life without too many worries. Jessica, yes, it did seem that they were getting more and more intertwined with one another. Looks like the other one has taken a step back and just said, fine, you have your turn there, I'll come when you're done. Oh my word, just look at that Ellie, so relaxed. I love when they cross their legs like that. Spas, hello, lovely to hear from you. Yeah, it's great to be able to see these elephants enjoying their time here around Oldonyo. Oh, there's a fifth one that arrived, snuck in while we were having a close look at these elephant trunks. Dark Main Lover and Pizza Man, hello to you. Thank you for saying hi to us, as well as Final Control. And Mika is with us now for the show. So, yeah, wonderful to hear from you both. Miranda, you'd like to know if elephants can hear the bees in front of the camera flying around, and would they be scared of them? So, I don't know if they are definitely bees, Miranda. It's possible. I do know that elephants aren't fans of bees, and it's actually quite an interesting thing that I think the study is still running in the Mara, in a part of East Africa study, where there are no fences separating community from the wildlife areas, and they live, in harmony with one another. And it's sort of this ancient tradition that's been done for so many years, and it's amazing how the Maasai people have been able to adapted to life amongst the wild, even with domestic animals such as cattle. So, but my point is that there was actually, I believe, research that was done to test whether using bees can be a deterrent from the likes of elephants coming in and destroying crops. Mainly eating the crops, which is one of a major food source and income for the Maasai people, part of how they survive. And of course, elephants can eat a lot, and they can also destroy things like fences and any sort of infrastructure that might be of value to local people, as well as to even lodges. We know very well what damage an elephant can cause, which is no fault of their own. They're just being an elephant. But I believe the bees, the sound of them, it does irritate the elephants, as well as, of course, potentially stinging them. And elephants are quite sensitive, so they wouldn't enjoy that whatsoever. And I think it has been somewhat of a deterrent. It would be fascinating to hear if there's any updates on that study. But it is a fascinating thing that has been attempted to try and naturally deter the likes of elephants coming closer to, potentially eat crops and cause damage and that sort of thing. So, I can't particularly hear the bees. Our sound here is pretty good when we can hear the elephants, that sort of thing. I can't hear any buzzing at the moment. But I'm sure if it was very close to them, we'd see some head shaking, maybe even a trumpet or something like that. Look at these two having a bit of a face-off here. All right, let's, I think we're heading over to Tau, so let's head there. Apologies, everyone. I heard the incorrect name there, but we have come down to the Eastern Cape in South Africa still, nonetheless, and we are at Mantis Founders Lodge with a beautiful giraffe that I hope is thinking about coming to have a drink. looks like a lovely sunny day here. Not a cloud in the sky. I can hear oxpecker. There's one on this giraffe. Another one just landed as well. Isn't that just beautiful? Ooh, Starbuck, fascinating question. You want to know if giraffe can be ridden if tame. I have not heard of anyone riding a giraffe, but that's not to say that somewhere in the world they haven't attempted to do just that. I do think that perhaps their backs aren't exactly the ideal sort of shape for to be ridden or to be sat on. It's very sloped. I mean, we just got a glimpse there as it walked away. So it's not a really nice sort of saddle like a horse or even a camel that lends itself to be able to be ridden. So not really the ideal passenger carrier, I would say. If you know, there were times when people were looking for potential transport options. I think giraffe's back's just too sloped to even attempt that. Oh, there seems to be a head of another giraffe that just stuck out there on the left. They're a little bit further down. I always admire the view here at Founders and the sort of perfect reflection that there is. It's often very still, not much wind around. We had a lovely sighting with a crash of rhino here the day before yesterday. Well, there's something moving on the hillside there. It's quite light in colour. I wonder if those aren't a few zebra in the far distance. Sometimes we also see a few birds around the water. Some of the Cape wagtails love to hang about. I think we had a plover here the other day as well. Well, let's head back over to East Africa and see what's happening at Lentor. Oh, sweet, here's a little steenbok. I think it's a steenbok. Oh, no, that's not. Sorry, that was my first initial feel, but that nose is very different. Does have the very large preorbital glands there by the eye. Do think, I mean, I haven't actually seen one myself, but I do think that could have been a dik-dik. Oh, those are some monkeys. It does look like it was one, a little bit grey on the back, and also have that very particular nose shape, which stood out to me straight away. I was like, that's not a steenbokkie. Very, very interesting little shaped nose that makes their face look slightly more like a duiker, I would say, than one of the other antelopes that we see. That's very cool to see my first dik-dik on the show, which is awesome. Yeah, Jessica, definitely. I can confirm. It stood out to me straight away. I was like, oh, first impression was steenbok, but then as soon as I saw that nose, I was like, no, that's something different. There's a troop of vervet monkeys moving through here. Hopefully they'll pop out, or maybe the baboons will pop out. We love spending time with them here at Lentor as well. We also get to do some fantastic birding in this particular spot. It does seem to be slightly windier than usual today. Spuss, you'd like to know how sensitive to bee stings an elephant's skin actually is. So there's areas of an elephant's body that are more sensitive and less sensitive because the skin is harder and thicker in some places than others. The most sensitive areas on an elephant is particularly around the trunk, around the eyes, the back of the ears, on the belly, or sort of under the legs, even around the chest area as well. That's often where we see the ticks attached to, because the blood vessels are closer to the surface, and it's easier for them to latch on where there's softer skin. And so those are the areas that they're vulnerable to really be affected by a bee sting, and it does cause them pain, especially if there's a swarm of bees and a whole bunch. I don't think an elephant's going to die from bee stings, although anything's possible, I suppose. It would just take a lot of bees. but they are affected by it, and it is uncomfortable for them, and it does sort of affect an area, especially if they manage to sting the elephant in the areas of their body that are more sensitive. That did look like a terrapin on the left of the waterhole there. Oh, there's a monkey in the tree. It's amazing when you look a little bit closer what you see. So this is interesting. Oh, wow. Well done. Thank you, Zumi, for getting such a good view of this. So that looks like baboon poop, possibly monkey as well, but it's quite large. And there's a butterfly that has perched itself on there. And you may be wondering, what the hang is that butterfly doing on poop? And it's interesting because it's something that I wondered myself a little while ago, and I did some research because I wanted to understand why we were seeing so many butterflies, especially on elephant dung, but it applies, I suppose, to monkey or baboon dung as well. And it's all to do with the moisture. And these butterflies will come and actually drink the liquid from the poop. From the dung, and that has to do with supplementing their diets, and I believe things like sodium and nitrogen are some of the major elements or nutrients that they're looking for, and that also helps them with their development of their eggs and that sort of thing, which is very interesting, and why we are seeing this butterfly on top of this dung. Oh, there's a monkey with a baby that passed by the back. Oh, that is just adorable. That cute little face of that youngster. Still quite pink around the mouth there. It's drinking milk. You can see it's got mom's teeth in its mouth. One of the things I think that give monkeys and baboons so much expression are their eyebrows. You know, they've got the forward-facing eyes, which just create this connection between us and them. But then their eyebrows seem to give them so much character, I think. This is just too sweet. Oh, it is so happy there. The milk bar is open. Do you feel like it's seriously testing the stretch? Oh, shame. I can't imagine that is that is not painful. Oh goodness. We always have such wonderful primate sightings here at Lentor, whether it's vervet monkeys or baboons. Now busy doing their grooming thing. Ollie the Oxpecker, hello, what a great name you have. You'd like to know what the lifespan is for a monkey. So for this particular species, you're looking at approximately 30 years or so. Difficult to say exactly, and in the wild the lifespan can be cut short, but I suppose from what I've read and learnt, it's about, I'll say 25 to 30 years, possibly longer than that, depending on conditions. Awkward Fairy, this is also a fantastic question. You want to know if there's any order to which monkey is groomed first. There are probably researchers that I know that their research studies, a lot of research is done on vervet monkeys. You know, they are fascinating to learn about their social dynamics. There's a lot about them, their communications, all their different calls and vocalizations that they have. I actually had a friend who trained with me who did a lot of studies in vervet monkeys, which was amazing to hear some of the research that was done about them. But when it comes to grooming, I haven't noticed a particular order. I've seen it reversal, like role reversal between two. I've seen younger ones grooming older ones. I've seen older ones grooming younger ones. Generally, though, I would say is that the younger ones would groom the older ones first. Unless it's a mother and baby situation, she would probably look after her little one quite closely. But as they grow up, there is a hierarchy between females, between males, and so with that in mind, you would then think that the more dominant would sort of demand to be groomed first before it's reciprocated. But I'm not entirely sure if that is the case always. I've seen a really big male baboon, for example, grooming a really tiny little baby, and it's almost instinctual. I don't know how much thought goes into the grooming other than just this is what we do to bond with each other as a troop, but also to, obviously the byproduct of that is hygiene as well. Oh, lovely. It looks like we have some visitors at Founders, so let's head over there. Well, sometimes we speak of something landing with its bum in the butter when it lands in a very comfortable place and is a little bit spoilt. And I feel like when it comes to warthogs, they land with their bum in the mud, and it is just as comfortable. Doesn't that just look so wonderful? I mean, that mud is not pleasant in terms of wanting, when you're looking at it, to want to get in. But there's somehow that a warthog just makes it look like it is the comfiest place to be. There's a small three-banded plover, which I actually mentioned earlier. I saw it here, and it's good to know that it's still around. Oh, look how beautiful it is. It's got a perfect reflection there too. Ah, I think this is the mom, potentially the same mom and piglets we had here the last time I had warthogs here. And they were giving her a little bit of a hard time, bothering her while she was trying to relax. There's no way to know for sure if it's the same one, but it is possible. It looks like they are heading off now after their spa treatment. Ah, giraffe. I was saying this the other day when we had the rhinos here that this is one of the cutest, well, not cutest, but it's a very fascinating place to watch giraffes from, because you just sort of see their head appearing over the horizon. Oh wow, we're going to have a look at this three-banded plover now, which is beautiful. And sort of as the giraffe, if it chooses to come to the water, you sort of get this head rising and the neck and eventually the body. But what a fantastic view of this bird. Mindy, hi, wonderful to hear from you. You say, I think this place and Oldonyo are tied for your favorite cameras. It's difficult to choose one. I know many of you do have favorites, and that's perfectly fine. But I feel like there's always something at each one of the cameras' locations that we enjoy and find different and special. Tennis, hello. You are asking what is my grand total for my bird list of Southern Africa now on after my recent birding trip. Well, Tennis, I can officially say that my bird list is now up to 548 species, which I suppose relative to some of the birding elite in Southern Africa, that's pretty standard or par when it comes to serious birders. But I am very proud of my list. It's something I've achieved in the last 4.5 years, 4.5 to 5 years, and I'm very happy with what I've been able to see and where I've been able to visit. To add to it, I do need to do a pelagic trip at some stage to get all those seabirds. I was chatting to one of our bird guides in Zululand a week and a bit ago now, and he said, on your first trip out on the water, you can easily get about 30 lifers, whether it's from albatrosses to, oh goodness, there's so many of them, different types of terns and all those birds that stay out at sea and fly a lot. So yes, hopefully the next goal is to get to that 600 number. And there's a few other areas a little bit more into the Western Cape that I haven't really done at all. a little bit more Namakuru area as well, one of the biomes in South Africa, to add a little bit more different species. But I'd love to be able to reach 600 by the end of the year. That would be amazing. Thanks, Deb. I appreciate your enthusiasm. Okay, well, interesting. Let's head up to Namibia for some sparring antelope. Well, they are indeed. We've got two impalas, rams here, that are having a go at each other, and some springbuck moving in the background. We actually had this a very similar scene. I don't know if it was Safari Hook or if we were at Onguma, where we had both species the other day. And I mentioned to all of you at home that it's a really good opportunity for those of you who maybe get confused between the two or often mistake the one for the other, to clearly see the difference between a springbuck and an impala here. Now, slowly but surely, I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth, but we are nearing the rutting season, everyone, for impalas. And I think it's the same throughout Southern Africa in terms of when the impalas rut. I will have to just double check that. But these males are going to start sparring more and more. And April into May, sort of mid-April, end of April, sort of the peak of the rutting season, and these rams just get a whole bunch of testosterone influx, and they start making all these snorting noises and herding females, obviously to mate with them, and the whole cycle is beginning again. I feel like the lambs dropped yesterday. We were waiting for the first lamb to drop, and I remember seeing it, the first one we got on camera. I managed to do it, I think it was the 17th of November at Juma last year, which was very cool. And we got our first little lamb live. And now the whole thing is starting over. And soon enough, the male impalas will be mating with the females once again. And speaking of, Pete from the UK, you say, hi Amy. Yes, was the first time that you saw a dik-dik on the waterhole, which we saw earlier at Lentor. And you're just saying that we left one gem, being Juma, to find another gem at Sandringham. And you're looking forward to my drives there, interpretation of the area. I am so excited to get to Sandringham. I've been fortunate to visit it a handful of times. I popped on drive with Eric the other day, and prior to that as well. It is such a beautiful reserve, and for those of you who may not be familiar with what I'm talking about, Wild Earth also does we do live safaris in the afternoon, which is coming up at 3:30, and basically an hour after the show ends. And then we do it in the afternoon as well as the morning. And I'll be out at drive this afternoon at Mabula, which is where I'm at the moment. And one of our new locations that we've added since the beginning of March is a reserve called Sandringham, and that is part of the Greater Kruger area. It borders with the Timbavati and Thorny Bush reserves along the Orpin Road. I suppose in sort of a straight line, it's about 40 kilometers from where Juma was as the crow flies. But basically a little bit further north from where the Sabi Sands is. But it's amazing because everything is sort of in that region of the Lowveld, and I can't wait to get there, Pete. I really can't. I think most likely I'll be driving there in May. So I'm looking forward to getting stuck into the area. Hopefully I'll be there quite a bit going forward, with actually being lucky enough to live very close by. So that's a treat as well. And there's just such a beauty. The landscape is beautiful. We're getting to know the beautiful Black Dam Pride there, of course, and the young white male lion. And I'm just excited to follow more animal stories, get to know them, and work out dynamics, as well as just exploring new areas and being able to share that with you all. Jive Bunny, hello. Yes, I did hear that the young male white lion was seen alone, and I believe he was calling as well. And I do hope that he does catch up with the rest of them. But I don't think it's anything to be concerned about. I know from my time spent on Ngala, which also actually borders Sandringham, we often saw individuals split up. I remember the young white female lion was on her own. I don't know, she disappeared from the pride, and we were all very concerned, and we sort of didn't see her for about a week, I think, if I remember correctly. Next thing, she pops up, and it's like she never left. So these things do happen, especially if there's a hunt that happens or something like that. Maybe the pride is chased by elephants and they split up. So it is something that happens. It's not completely unheard of. And we do trust that everything will be fine. Obviously, there's never any guarantees in the bush, but knowing myself, having seen it happen before and having quite a positive outcome. Ooh, is that a beet? It does look like it, doesn't it? Difficult to tell which one. Ooh, unless those were southern carmines or European. Oh wait, it's just landed there. The coloration's a bit tricky from this distance, but it is looking quite pink, isn't it? Or is it quite brown? Oh, those are Europeans, I think. European bee eaters. They do have quite brown backs. You can see just a touch of yellow under the throat, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Anyway, just to finish off my thought there, before I was distracted by the birds, that yes, you know, we always can be concerned especially when we this time actually seeing the animal on its own and not with the others. But animals are amazing. They can communicate through various means, not just vocally. And hopefully, if not this afternoon, but in the next coming days, we'll see them all back together again. there are quite a few of those bee eaters now in the tree there. And I mean, even without the coloration, there's something to be said for the general. Oh, that one actually caught something. I saw it had something in its beak. But a bee eater has a very particular look to it. Very, very sort of the shape, the general impression of shape and size, otherwise referred to as the jizz. It's sort of that long beak, long body, and very sort of, it just looks like a bee eater's silhouette, which are these things that start to stand out as you spend more time birding. Oh, there's an egret. Hello there. Not exactly sure which one. It does have a yellow beak. Cattle egrets do like to follow herds of antelopes around, especially if they disturb some insects and things like that. A Takame lover does seem like that egret wants some friends. That looks like a grey heron though there now, in the distance a bit. But what a beautiful scene here at Safari Hook, and how I think this is my first time coming back here since the rains. And wow, what a difference. Does it have something in its beak? Or is it something on top of its beak? Maybe something was sitting there. It's turned around now and I can't see anything. Oh, there it is. I don't know, maybe there's a butterfly sitting on there. Some sort of creature. I love that they have this tiny ponytail at the back of their heads. Well, this has been lovely to see Safari Hook so green. Let's head back up to Aldonio. Once again, the classic scene that we've been graced with so many times here in Kenya with the giraffe and elephants at this waterhole. I always feel like these giraffes are having a conversation about who's going to go first. You know, who's going to be brave enough to actually make the first move here to get the water that they're also desperate to get, but no one wants to take the risk of going too close. It looks like they all bowed out and just left these two elephants here. One giraffe in the background. I'm not sure if there's something lying down there, if it's a zebra or something else sort of in the middle, but I can't, it's not very clear. But the clouds are also gathering, seems to be building up potentially to some rainfall maybe later on. No, Ellie, it doesn't seem like the elephants are in a mood to share today. I think those are some oryx that have popped out at the back, either oryx or eland. Maybe more eland than oryx. I can't quite see the horns clearly, but they are quite big. Antelopes. Let's see if these two giraffe have what it takes to come have a drink. Yeah, it does. I think it's definitely eland now that they've come out a little bit further. I'm sure this elephant is very happy to have that freshwater pipe to himself now. I'm not having to compete with anyone else. Deb, you say that you're so glad that I'll be on safari. I am too. I'm very excited to be back out on drive and joining you all for the live safaris here from Mabula. It's going to be wonderful. Mabula is such a special place, and I can't believe how it's transformed. I'll chat more about it when I'm out on the vehicle, but it's wonderful to see it so green, and I'm just looking forward to seeing all of the wonderful animals here and sharing it with you all. Alright, well, let's head over to Tau. Always so pretty when we come here now in the summer with the green grass and yellow flowers. And here is a herd of impalas with a male waterbuck sitting at the back doing some ruminating. There's also some younger boys to the left. I've just noticed them now. Their heads are also just above the grass. Much smaller horns though, and a lot younger. And lovely to see so many impalas out here. We don't often have such a huge herd. Oh, there's a zebra. That's nice. Tau just has so much variety, and it reminds me a lot of Mabula in that way, actually, because we also get so many different species all together, which is lovely. everything is looking quite relaxed here as well. The birds are also just enjoying, I think, so much water around. It almost looks like that waterbuck had the horns of an impala for like a moment there. But there's obviously a male impala that's sitting down, which this male waterbuck is blocking out. So it looks like it has 4 pairs of horns coming out of its head at the moment. 2 pairs of horns, sorry. Well, everyone, I can't believe we're coming to the end of the Waterhole show. It's been wonderful. We've had such a great time relaxing together by the water. I do hope that you all have enjoyed your time with me. I will be back with you tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that and seeing what else we find at the waterholes. But if nothing else, it's just lovely to be able to chat, have interesting topics of conversation. You can ask. I find a lot more questions. It's a lot less intense than the live drive, so I get to relax a little bit more and chat to you all and have some thought-provoking conversations with you, which is very cool. Now, like I said, we will be live this afternoon, and that is for our sunset safari that will take place at 3:30 Central African time. So make sure that you keep it tuned here to Wild Earth. And to everyone who sent through comments and questions today, thank you so much. We always love to hear from you, and it was wonderful to chat to you all. Deb and Jive, hello, thank you for your kind words. And yes, I'm looking forward to jumping behind the wheel, and hopefully many of you will be out on drive with us as you hop onto the largest safari vehicle in the world. From myself here at the Live at the Waterhole, as well as the team, we thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you all soon. Goodbye for now.